Hey everyone, I'm back again. This is Janet Trevino and I am here with CK Eaglehorse, and we're here to talk to you about, 1 second actually, let me get one little thing down there. All right, good. Touch again, right? Like the importance of touch and how if you don't have touch in your life, that the detriment it can bring to your life, as well as those who didn't have choice around that, and especially children. So with CK and I will be talking about reactive detachment disorder and what that looks like once you become an adult and deal with touch avoidance, touch defiance, touch depravity, right? Like the difficulty around that. So I'd like to share a little bit with CK's permission. She's given me permission to share with you her story, and we'll go from there. So CK was born in the Lakota Nation, and at the time her mother was not able to care for her, and at birth gave her up for adoption, which is really kind of, from what I understood, was really kind of unheard of. People in our Indigenous brothers and sisters, they keep their kids close, right? Like if one can't raise a child, then they bring it keep it in the nation. And this didn't happen. So you were put up for adoption and in the foster care system for about 6 months, and then was eventually adopted by a non-Native family. And in this process, babies are so smart. Babies know. Babies in the womb, they experience touch constantly, right? And they know if they're loved, they know if they're wanted. And when babies are born, having that connection with their parents is so important. And when it's not there, babies know. So with CK, what eventually happened with her story is that she was that child, that, difficult kid who was touch avoidant, touch defiant, didn't want anyone near her touching her. And so at the time back, what we understood about science and touch and all of that, medical people around her decided that the best course of action would be not to touch the child. If the child says no to touch, right, had a rocky beginning, well, then just don't touch the child. We now know that that is not the best course of action for children, and this disorder now has a name, which is reactive detachment disorder, which again, children don't have emotion, don't connect, they don't have that bond that is essential really for wellness, essential for health. And so now an adult, we have a situation where, CK is where she is right now. And I'd love for you to share a little bit, start off of a really kind of deep question. What's it like to live in your skin with, having not had touch, and also being in a family where there was touch? Here's the thing. So CK has siblings where they did experience touch, but she was not touched. So now after, I'm guessing you're in your 20s, 30s. What's it like to live in your body right now and to live in your skin?
Because it's a issue that's the forefront of my everyday life. It's hard. And once I went through therapy and figured out what everything was for and why I was feeling the way I was, it was a bittersweet feeling, because I figured out what it was, but then that was it. There was nothing to be offered as far as the physical aspect of everything that I missed out on or didn't want. And so I find myself, I guess, not getting jealous, but I don't like watching parents with their kids. I don't like watching them get nurtured, because I feel, I don't know.
Gypped?
Okay, yeah, that, and just makes me think of, I wonder what that's like. Like, I feel silly sometimes having to tell myself not to think things. I feel like I'm on an elementary level of thinking, but it's just very hard. So I don't like interaction or to be around things like that. When there's family gatherings, to this day, I still look at like all my sister's physical features and their aspects, and then I look at my adoptive, my mom and dad, and like two of my sisters, they have my mom's hands, and like just all these like little things. And as far as bonding, like how they're able to talk with each other about different things. And this, as far as my sisters go, for the longest time, that's just a title. And to me, my parents were just two really awesome people who decided to adopt me. And then my sisters are, I mean, we're spaced enough apart where I didn't really remember growing up with the two older ones. I'm a bit closer to my sister, Connie. But there's just, it's a constant reminder of lack and pretending and learn how to act right instead of being able to not be okay with it.
So there's like a lot of things that compound this, right? Like, you know, you have a story where you're not part of the people that look like you, that, you know, that you can connect with on a biological level. And then you have, you know, a childhood that was different than even the people around you. And so it's a constant reminder. It sounds like you're saying,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
constant reminder of what you didn't have.
Right.
And touch being, again, as I've said in the past, like touch is as important as breathing and as water, like water is for us. It's essential for health. And I'd like to know from just, I mean, how do you know? Like, and this is going to seem like a silly question, but it's deeply profound how we know this. How do you know that touch is important? Like, what difference does it make? Like, you know, if someone said, well, you never had it, so how do you know?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know within?
Well, a lot of it is like observing others in any relationship. I'm very aware of watching and seeing, like, even the movies, anywhere. It's just like right there all the time. And I guess there's just a longing, but you can never quite reach it. So I have never been able to make that go away out of everything else that I've been able to kind of bury. There's just a longing, but it seems like there's no answer until now, obviously, but.
So I hear you, and I think, like, is it even possible for you right now with the people that are in your life to begin the process of accessing touch? What is it? What's possible?
I have tried to somehow incorporate letting my family know, like, hey, I'm better now, and you know, it's weird anyways if you're raised in the church. And then my parents are like in their late 70s, so they're pretty old school.
Oh, wow.
And my mom is unfortunately still really insecure when I talk about being adopted. Like when I found my birth dad, I mean, okay, whatever. But anyways, and my sister Connie, I just don't want to bother anyone. That's what like, I just don't want to bother. And like the other day, my dad kind of grabbed my hand, and I didn't understand it, but I didn't like it, you know. And then I had to go think about that for a little while, like, but that's what I thought I've always wanted. It makes me feel stupid, pretty much.
Well, that's really interesting, because along with like touch, like the value and importance of touch, there is another layer that's consent, right? And you feeling powerful in your touch, in receiving and giving touch. And so, like, there's lots of people that can say, oh, I want touch in my life, I miss touch. But if it's taken, that's deeply wounding as well. That can be very harmful if someone just comes up to you and grabs you, because you're not part. It's like you're the subject, or well, like you're not part of the decision making around that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can see if someone just grabs your hand, you're like, hold on, wait, like.
Mm-hmm. Or like, even, okay, this happened last month. We had some relatives in town, and this is how much my family like knows that I don't like to be touched. So we were taking a picture of my sisters and our cousin, and it was a joke. And they were like, let's get CK. And like then they all just kind of came in at me, and then I had to laugh though, because if I would have reacted how I felt, then that would have been cool, you know. So there's a picture, and I stare at it, and it's weird that it's a joke, or it's not talked about at all, unfortunately. So it's hard.
Yeah, it's confusing. It's like either it's too much or it's not asked for, right? Or it's not something that you can collaborate with someone on. And so like it's just messed up. And people don't know how to, right? We can't expect for them to know how to be in this process because there are no resources, which goes to my last question is, would you be willing to work with a professional and get reintroduce touch into your life and get retouch? Like, this is my new business, like get reintroduced into touch. Is that something that you'd be willing to do?
Yeah, for probably a million reasons, but the top, just because I'm at a place where I'm ready to. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a bit daunting and scary, but it's nothing. Like I said, it won't go away. That feeling won't go away, and so that, and I don't know if it would work. Like I said, with my dad holding my hand the other day, like I don't know if I could just go sit down with him and be like, I want to work on like touching, like they would just be over their heads, like it's just not what I do according to them. So
Sure.
So I'm happy to find what y'all are doing. Probably the next best thing for me.
And then I can just say for all of you who are watching this, there's been fantastic evidence around this. People are able to reintroduce touch in their life that have never had that ability to. And I've been there where, there was a person that came in and had a session with me and we were reintroducing touch. And all we did, like all that was possible was like touching pinkies. Like that was where we began. And deeply powerful because this was scary.
Mm-hmm.
So moving into like, okay, well, can I hold your hand? Like, could we hold each other's hand? That's intimate. And so there is like the touch and the cuddling, which again, there's a lot of talk about that. And that's like full body, enmeshed and like everyone's tangled up, but not everyone is there. And that's a huge, big community of people that just need to practice this first and being present with that and go slow and talk and listen and ask yourself what sensations are you feeling in your body, because you don't want it just to be a mental thing but a whole body thing. Just go really slow with it. Yeah. Any last comments or anything you'd like to finish our video with?
Yep, just that I think you're awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for reaching out to me and sharing your story. These are the kind of stories that the world needs to hear because, again, people think it's ridiculous what I'm doing, what a lot of us are doing out there, doing platonic touch, but people are dying. Like years, and if it's not a physical death, it's like they're dead inside. Their bodies are numb and turned off, and they live in fear because they don't have touch.
Fear and regret.
Did you say regret?
Yeah, fear and regret.
Regret. Yeah. And then feeling like stupid because they like, this should be easy. Like, why can't I do this? And pain around that. So
yeah.
Thank you so much for this time. I'm going to say goodbye to our viewers and love to you, CK, and love to all of you out there. And hopefully you all are getting the touch that you need. If you need to book a session with me, please come find me somewhere. I'm sure you can find me. And CK, you and I will be continuing talking about this. I'm sure I have a feeling that this isn't going to be the end of it.
Right.